And the theme for this year's summit is Synergies in Digital Transformation and AI being artificial intelligence. And like we said earlier on, for some people, AI means different things. Some know it as artificial insemination. Others will say it's AI. And AI usually represents at times not as sure about something. And so in regards to digital and AI, we hope that we are going to transform everyone who will be part of this from I, of not understanding, to AI, where they'll be fully in the know. My name is Dan Mwangi, and we're coming to you, like I said, from the county of Nakuru, and we shall kick it off with some opening remarks. And first and foremost, I'm going to invite the Chief Executive Officer of the Nation Media Group, that is Stephen Gitagama, to give his opening remarks. Karibu.
So thank you very much, Dan. Our chief guest, CS Minister of Information, Communication and Digital Economy, Honorable Eliud Owalo, all our delegates and invited guests, good morning. Now, allow me once again to invite you to this fourth edition of the Nation Digital Summit. It's the first time we are holding it in Naivasha, and in a special way, I want to thank our Cabinet Secretary, because he was with us last year in Mombasa and is here with us today, emphasizing the importance of the digital economy and the digital business in this country. It is a pleasure to be in this room with some of the greatest minds in digital transition and in the digital transformation space to ideate and deliberate on this year's theme, which is Synergies in Digital Transformation and Artificial Intelligence. I believe that the conversation we'll have in this room will set the stage for crucial conversations around the integration of technology and AI business in this country and in the region. Now, AI is changing every industry that you can think of, and it will ultimately impact the society in ways that are just we are trying to understand at the moment. This, however, will not be the first time the human race has experienced changes. All of us, depending on when you are born, you've experienced changes in one way or another. If you look at the music industry, how far we've come from to music. Today you download music, you stream music, there were cassettes, and very recently, and all that has been brought about by changes in technology. Now, each of the industrial revolutions has spurred economic growth and prosperity on one hand, and changed social, economic, and cultural practices on the other. This technology age will be no different with a breakthrough like AI, and we expect it to rapidly create new frontiers for industries, scale businesses, and drive innovation and create efficiency. It is for this reason that we selected this year's theme. AI is already being integrated and deployed across a variety of sectors, from national security and healthcare to logistics and education. According to the latest report by Research and Markets, AI is expected to achieve a 52% by 2025, pointing to its rapid adoption of global businesses. Closer home, companies are harnessing AI technology to improve efficiency and productivity without the human touch, and we'll be listening to stories of some of those companies that have moved ahead in this area. The versatility of AI technology continues to amaze me. People can create an entire marketing campaign, pitch presentations, and much more by a simple instruction. The impact of this technological systemic shift will affect each and every one of us, and our business cannot afford to be left behind, and you cannot afford to be left behind. You cannot fight technology. The best thing is to embrace it and move with it. At NMG, we are alive to this impact, and we actually are actively looking to influence our operations, and we have taken a number of steps and we'll be discussing this in the forums to come. Now, currently, we are testing various enhanced stories, generate related images, and even translate audio from one language to another for different markets. So today you can serve the whole world. Language is not a barrier because you can use AI to translate your communication or to translate your message across anybody. However, we are aware of the concerns on the use of this technology and the issues of copyright, the ethical issues of accuracy and objectivity are some of the challenges we would have to contend with as we move to utilizing AI. Now, it is therefore pertinent that as we discuss the upside of AI and all the possibility it brings, we also address the risks that AI poses to our society and our economy. As we move and closer to using AI across our country, we have to be very careful on how AI can be misused. Early in the day, I was reminded that there are people who impersonate others. In one good example that was given by Joe is that in the last election, somebody used the headline, the Nation front page, to pass a message that was misleading that his competitor had withdrawn from the race. And he alleges that that led to his loss. So AI is even worse because you have a millisecond to make changes. And as we speak here, somebody could be using the movement of my mouth to pass a message to my people and say, I've authorized you to pay 500 million to this gentleman. And by the time I finish the meeting, 500 million would have gone, and all that is, we have to be really aware. Now, it will be interesting to hear the various panel speaks to how AI can integrate into business and to the existing system and be utilized to deliver quality and ethical considerations, policies and frameworks that need to be in place as industries embrace this technology. Ladies and gentlemen, over the next 2 days, this summit will highlight AI's role as an enabler of digital transformation through its ability to analyze data, automate tasks, and make intelligent decisions. It is also my hope that we'll be here. When we are here, we'll learn from businesses and organizations that have exploited the synergy in digital transformation to create new product and optimize operation. With that, I wish all of you engaging sessions, and I welcome you to ask questions and be fully engaged and fully benefit from this experience, from the experience of your friends, and I'm sure it will be a good 2 days. I wish you a great learning and networking experience and look forward to your feedback tomorrow as we close the session. So thank you very much, and karibuni. Thank you. Okay. So we are expecting the Governor of Murang'a County to join us. He was here last evening, and I'm told he's on his way. And I want to take this opportunity to invite our Cabinet Secretary, the Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy, Eliud Owalo, who is he's our boss at in the government level, and also a friend to NMG. Can I say that?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you.
Good morning, good people. It's my pleasure to join you once more. Oh, okay. Okay, great. Thanks. So it is indeed my fourth nation. This is my second year attending this annual. hallmark event, providing a crucial platform for dialogue on the profound impact of digital transformation. An agenda that resonates deeply with the heartbeat of our nation's progress. The theme of this year's summit, Synergies in Digital Transformation and AI, underscores the pivotal role that technology plays in shaping the future of our nation. In just under 10 years, technology has permeated every facet of our lives, reshaping industries, economies, and societies. If you look at this theme, the first word there, synergies, espouses the fact that it is incumbent upon all of us to work together as we navigate this digital landscape and trajectory. So we have to work together. Whether we are in the public sector or in the private sector, we have to go through this thought process together so that we see how to effectively position ourselves in the face of digital transformation, emerging technologies in the operational environment. Like most societies angling for a strategic placement around technological, welcome Governor, like most societies angling for a strategic placement around technological innovations for economic development, Kenya is doing everything to be counted as an influential participant at the artificial intelligence table. This strategy is spurred on by the bottom-up economic transformation agenda 2022-27, which is our overall policy framework in government, the philosophy on the basis of which everything we are doing in government is anchored. Through this agenda, we have an ongoing sectoral reform process whereby a team of diverse Kenyan professionals have been tasked with evaluating the operational environment to see how we can reposition ourselves effectively in that space, in the midst of dynamism in our operating environment. I want to appeal to all of you to take advantage of that process so that we espouse what, in our view, are some of the attendant recommendations that we need to consider moving forward to strengthen or improve our policy, legal, and regulatory framework in the face of technological advancement. We have to embrace new technologies in our operational environment. But within that same realm, we must have an enabling policy, legal, and regulatory framework. I don't want you to leave that thought process to government. We have to think together so that we come up with that enabling environment, a sound foundation on the basis of which these technological interventions can be anchored. That sector working group has already given us a draft report. We have extended their tenure by another 3 months. So you still have the opportunity. In fact, even recommendations emanating from this summit should find their way into that sector working group so that as a country, we think of what we need to do jointly in the face of some of these emerging technologies from a policy, legal, and regulatory perspective. This, of course, will include, but not limited to, how to integrate AI within that framework. And this will precede the formulation of a comprehensive strategy and policy in that regard. Acknowledging the interconnected nature of these activities, steps are being taken to establish a roadmap for the safe and secure development of AI. Emphasizing the necessity of regulatory systems to govern AI, our ministry underscores the importance of collaborative efforts on a global scale. On the global platform, we keep on being invited to workshops, summits like this one, to discuss the issue of AI. Kenya cannot be an exception in this regard, and that's why, depending on unfolding events from time to time, we must sit together and think together. Meaningful collaboration, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, is imperative among us as leaders in this space, and it is essential, if not imperative, to effectively address the risks associated with frontier AI and capitalize on its significant opportunities across various domains. In addition, with a plan to place the country on a path of global competitiveness, the legal policy and regulatory frameworks have to be realigned with current global standards. Anything that we do, we must benchmark with global best practices. I keep on getting the question that what are you doing as a ministry in the face of this massive digitalization? Are you not exposing the country to threats with the digitalization that you are pursuing with zeal? And my answer has always been simple, that we cannot run away from technology. We have to embrace technology, but in that very midst of embracing technology, we must put in place an elaborate risk mitigation framework to ward off the threats. One of those, of course, the issue of cyber insecurity. Let me assure you that as government, we are alive to this fact. And as we pursue our digitalization agenda, we are also correspondingly ensuring that we have got an elaborate risk mitigation framework around everything that we are doing so that we don't unnecessarily expose ourselves to unwarranted risks. And in that same regard, ladies and gentlemen, I also want to assure you that the massive data that is coming into the hands of government, data belonging to the public but coming into the hands of government in the course of digitalization, we have an appropriate framework that would ensure that that data remains both private and secure to the largest extent possible. We plan to place the country on a path of global competitiveness. And one of the critical success factors in this regard is digitalization. The only avenue that we have as a country to re-engineer how we are operating in all facets of the economy is by embracing technology. So we cannot really run away from technology. And as a ministry, we recognize the transformative potential of artificial intelligence in improving service delivery across diverse sectors of the economy. This technology has the capacity to revolutionize existing systems by enhancing efficiency, accuracy, and accessibility, thereby promising to transform service delivery methods, improve outcomes, and optimize resource allocation and, by extension, utilization. And so, as we navigate the rapidly evolving landscape of the digital area, it is important that we harness the power of collaboration and synergy to unlock new opportunities for growth. Harness the power of collaboration and synergy. And I keep on telling you people that don't look at us as government, and neither should we look at you as the media. We must think together, depending on unfolding events from time to public, but giving us free feedback as government on how we are performing. At no point in time, let me repeat, for purposes of clarity, will the government, this current government, have any intention of muzzling or interfering with the freedom of the media. That is an inalienable right enshrined in our 2010 constitutional dispensation. We want you to enjoy that independence to the largest extent possible. We want the media to be self-regulating in conformity to our 2010 constitutional dispensation. We will at no point, and for record purposes, the government at no point will interfere with the independence of the media. We don't have that intention today and in the foreseeable future. We are already reaping some of the benefits of collaborative approaches in innovating with the adoption of technology and digital solutions in government services. That has been a remarkable improvement in transparency, service delivery, and revenue collections. Just through this process of digitalization alone, you would not believe that we have, to a large extent, sealed the revenue leakages in government. Correspondingly, we have managed to enhance the amount of revenue collection from around 60 million shillings per day to, in certain instances, 900 to 1 billion shillings per day. If the government can do it, the private sector can do it, because we have got a better working culture, a more enabling culture, a culture that is palatable to digitalization. You can do it better to enhance your performance if we are already doing it in the public sector. However, this is just the beginning of the transformative potential of artificial intelligence, what it holds to addressing some of our most pressing challenges and realizing our collective aspirations. It stands as a formidable catalyst for innovation, offering unparalleled opportunities to address complex challenges and drive economic growth. Our commitment is to foster an environment that nurtures AI research, development, and application. Today, I would like to highlight 3 key pillars that will guide our efforts in fostering synergies in digital transformation with specific emphasis on AI. 1, inclusive digitalization. We ensure that the benefits of digital transformation must reach every corner of our society. As we undertake digitalization in the national government, we're taking place in a given county. The government is the sum total of our 47 counties, and that's why we want to move together with the county government on this digitalization journey. And this, therefore, should include bridging the digital divide, empowering marginalized communities, and providing equal access to digital resources and opportunities. If we leave digitalization in the hands of the private sector per se, then we run the risk of not having universal access, because the private sector is driven by profit motive. And that's why as government we are leveraging on the Universal Service Fund to ensure that all those parts of the country that hitherto had not been connected by way of fiber get connected, both by fiber and by internet. This is work in progress, and as part and parcel of our digital transformation journey, the digital superhighway, we have embarked on the process of rolling out 100,000 kilometers of fiber, connecting 25,000 Wi-Fi hotspots, and setting up a total of 1,450 digital hubs within the villages. In each and every ward in this country, we are going to have a digital hub where our youth can undertake digital skilling, and we connect them to global technological companies for purposes of digital jobs. Connectivity is only useful, ladies and gentlemen, if there is universal access. And that is why we are going the full hog to ensure that all our interventions are cascaded downwards to the lowest levels. By promoting inclusive policies and investing in digital infrastructure, we can create an enabling environment where all Kenyans can actively participate in and benefit from the digital economy. Under the PPP program, the ministry has adopted a countrywide digital skills training for capacity development that will benefit Kenyans from all walks of life. Let me just espouse something to let you understand how critical it is to collaborate. We have 3 arms of government. We have the judiciary, we have the executive, and the National Assembly. As the executive, we are aware that we have to collaborate with the private sector on one hand and also with other arms of government. Even in the rollout of our digital transformation agenda, we have reached out to the National Assembly for purposes of partnerships. And they have facilitated the review of the National Government CDF Act that now allows them to utilize up to 3% of the annual allocation of CDF to put in place the digital infrastructure, the facilities where we can, as national government, now go out and do what? And deploy the devices. We are setting up 1,450 digital devices, digital hubs all over the country. Members of Parliament are giving us the facility, the infrastructure where we are going to deploy the devices, courtesy of the CDF. Our role now is to deploy the devices, facilitate internet connectivity, do the training for our youth for free, and also connect the youth to digital jobs. This just shows you how important it is to work together. If we can do it with the legislature, we can do it better with the private sector. That is why in all our interventions, we are looking forward to partnership with the private sector. In fact, I've always said that if we can meet all our objectives through partnership with the private sector, so be it. Because the role of government is not to compete in business with the private sector, but to create an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. That is the philosophy on the basis of which everything that we are going to do is anchored and should be aligned. We must have collaborative innovation. Collaboration is the heart of innovation, and therefore we encourage public-private partnerships, academia-industry collaborations, and cross-sector engagements to drive innovation in digital technologies and artificial intelligence. Everything that we are doing, we must start from the demands of the market and work backwards. You know, if you look at our formal education system, we keep on churning into the market thousands of graduates, and then some of them get back and live with us in our houses because of lack of jobs. Just by being creative in the digital space, we have decided to work backwards by determining the demands of the market by way of jobs. And in this technological space, we have come up with a customized training through which we undertake digital training of our youth in line with the demands of the digital job market. The paradigm shift in this regard is that some of these youth now start working when they are still earning. So they are not waiting to get out to the job market and start looking for jobs. We have got youth who 6 months down the line after fourth form are today earning up to a tune of 200,000 shillings. And they are working right there in the villages, and they are being paid in dollars. This is a paradigm shift. It clearly goes out to espouse why we really need to be innovative, why we really need to be creative if we are to surmount some of the challenges that we are facing as a country. Employment inclusive. As opposed to the youth moving from the villages coming to towns to look for jobs, we are now going out of our way as government to create jobs right there in the villages. In each and every constituency, Governor Kangata, in each and every constituency, we are going to create a minimum of 1,500 jobs, because we are going to set up minimum of 5 digital hubs, and each hub can generate 300 jobs. This is going to be a game changer for this country while leveraging on technology. In fact, we have also reached out to the Council of Governors to partner with us in the establishment of Wi-Fi hotspots in the markets. That again will going to be a game changer, because our mothers who are involved in the itinerary trade in the markets will be leveraging on e-commerce in the conduct of our business, of their businesses. It is no longer imperative or necessary in the world of today, in the face of technology, to have the buyer of a commodity having a direct interface with the seller of a commodity. But we have to be innovative. We have to be innovative to see how to exploit some of this technology. So innovation is a critical success factor that we have to embrace moving forward. Through funding agencies such as the Bill Gates Foundation, Kenyans are now piloting AI projects targeting non-cumulative disease risk factors among the Kenyan youth. By fostering an ecosystem where ideas can flourish, we can accelerate the development of cutting-edge solutions that address our unique challenges and position Kenya as a leader in the global digital landscape. Through these deliberate partnerships, we can unlock new possibilities and overcome challenges that would be insurmountable in isolation. But there has to be some ethical framework within the space of emerging technology. So we must have ethical AI, and we must have ethical data governance. As we embrace the power of artificial intelligence, it is crucial to prioritize ethical considerations and establish a robust data governance framework. We must strike a balance between innovation and responsibility, ensuring that AI technologies are developed and deployed with the transparency, fairness, and accountability that is requisite. And this approach, ladies and gentlemen, will build trust among citizens and stakeholders, laying the foundation for sustainable digital growth. The government is actively engaging in an open, interdisciplinary conversation to assess risks stemming from frontier AI, delineate the roles of different actors in responding to these risks, and explore the considerable opportunities that AI presents. International collaboration is crucial for managing risks and fostering opportunities arising from frontier AI. emphasizing the need for international research collaborations. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to understand that AI developments necessitate investments in cybersecurity. As a ministry, we have devised a strategy to raise awareness among technical staff and the Kenyan public, for that matter, through training programs. But we also want to urge the media, most of the legacy media, to help us in also sensitizing Kenyans on the need of responsible utilization of technology, the social media inclusive. This initiative aims to ensure that staff members stay informed about relevant AI developments, especially concerning security threats and failure modes, and thereby enabling them to make informed decisions. We need a holistic approach as a country. This is essential, encompassing an understanding of the potential impact of AI. As government, we are committed to actively participating in global discussions regarding the safe and secure use of AI, and we want to carry the private sector along in these discussions. Despite the challenges, there is hope that the remarkable opportunities presented by AI will lead to a world where citizens can envision a better life that they have today. Let us collectively imagine a future where the benefits of AI contribute to enhancing the quality of life for all. In conclusion, let us view the challenge posed by digital transformation and artificial intelligence not as obstacles, but as opportunities for progress. We need to work together. This is the only way we can shape a future where technology serves as a force for good, uplifting the lives of our people and contributing to the overall development of our nation. I look forward to insightful discussions over the course of this summit and to witness the collaborative efforts that will undoubtedly emerge from our collective commitment to synergies in digital transformation with specific emphasis on AI. Let us work together as we navigate this space. Public-private partnership is imperative and is a critical success factor for all of us moving forward. I wish you useful deliberations and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Bwana CS. That is Eliud Owalo, the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Information, Communications and the Digital Economy, under whose ministry the event we're having today sits, and some good points to take home from his presentation, as is the case with what has been shared before. And one thing that keeps recurring is the need for ethical use of AI and technology, which includes data, and this is stuff we're going to hear recurring in our conversations in the course of our panel discussions and the likes. So at this point, I would like to call Mbogo Njehia to come on stage, take us through our next session as we proceed with our program, and then I will then I will advise on what next after that. Mbogo, come.
Mabibi na mabwana, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. When we talk about digital synergies, transformation, that assumption that where we are going, or that the parties on the table and or ask the relevant questions, open up our minds, open up our minds so that even as we continue with the deliberations of across the 2 days, we can know the sort of partnerships to form, the sort of alliances to form that will drive us forward. And for this fireside chat, I'll be speaking with Siobhan Clark-Joel, known as CJ, and she's an experienced or established data protection and AI ethics professional with a rich career marked by international roles and leadership. She created the term digital polycrisis which refers to the convergence of multiple interconnected crises in the digital realm, which cover issues like cybersecurity, data privacy, ethical challenges in AI. She's also the co-founder of TLC Group of Companies, and she has a profound experience in privacy, cybersecurity, and risk management, and has been pivotal in addressing multifaceted challenges of today's digital landscape. Her most recent leadership role is as Assistant Commissioner and Head of Innovation at Bermuda's Office of the Data Privacy Commissioner. And she's now preparing to deliver support across multiple jurisdictions, including Bermuda, the UK, Europe, the US, India, the Caribbean, and Africa, demonstrating her deep understanding and proactive approach to AI, data privacy culture, and a range of complexities. Additionally, her background is in psychology, cognitive neuroscience, arts, entertainment, which adds a uniquely engaging perspective. Help me welcome to the stage, CJ. So first and foremost, Karibu Kenya, welcome to Kenya. And I've given a brief bio about yourself, but could you just, again, in maybe a minute, fill us in on the elements that we may have missed for context? Because you have a broad spectrum of experience, which would be important for the audience to relate with and know where you're coming from for our conversation.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. And with protocol already established, I am very, very honored to be here today to represent Bermuda, as well as this very important space in AI and data protection. I studied and gained experience in the UK around GDPR. I became a practitioner. And then I returned to Bermuda, started the TLC Group, and expanded with courses such as Certified Privacy Officer Practitioner courses in Bermuda and the Caribbean. I took office, public office, to support Bermuda's community further. Started off at the Office of the Privacy Commissioner as the Head of Policy and Engagement Assistant Commissioner in March of 2022. And then in April 2023, I became the Head of Innovation. I also became a lifelong student of AI. I studied at the London School of Economics and really developed a holistic view of artificial intelligence from political, social, economical, across the whole spectrum. I continued on with my study and went into generative AI. And that's through a company called Mission Impact Academy. And it really focuses on women with non-technical backgrounds, learning and understanding the value of AI, because AI will significantly impact everyone, but particularly females and girls, of course, and diverse individuals. And so through that experience, it expanded my view around the use of AI, not just for productivity, but also for fun, that you can enjoy AI. You can, as artists, as talents of any sort, you can apply AI to further your interest. And in this way, we go into partnership with AI. And so my work has expanded now into really focusing on complexity around data protection and artificial intelligence. That was a key part of my role at PriveCom, or the Office of the Privacy Commissioner for Bermuda. It was around the complexities of data protection and privacy. So that brings me to where I am.
Fantastic. So clearly a domain expert in this realm. So just to dive straight into it, many times when we talk about digital transformation in AI, we just focus on the technology. But in conversation over the past few hours, you kind of like surfaced where the focus should really be, talking about humanizing these technologies. Walk us through that thought.
Yeah, I mean, that's to me the most important thing. for me, at the center of all discussion or activity to do with AI and data protection, for that matter, people should be at the center. We should always begin and end with people. We are people, to be fair. And so when we take off our hats and our jackets, our work jackets, we are just as vulnerable as the next person. And so in this regard, I believe that the way that we can really approach data protection and the age of AI is to bring it back to humans, bring it back to who we are at the core. And with this in mind, policies need to think about how they will impact the individual, the end user, or the end individual that would be impacted by those changes. At the business level, when we are thinking about embedding AI into our systems, yes, it may make very good sense in terms of growth, but we need to think about how will it impact our staff? How will it impact our clients? How will it impact us? And so really thinking also about mindful privacy. Let's really think about how it impacts our day-to-day, how it impacts the relationships that we have. A great example would be COVID, how it completely shifted the way we function. This is a great example of polycrisis, to be fair. And so when we talk about polycrisis, that term existed all the way in 1970 by Edgar Morin. And this was really around environmental science. But then we saw it in 2016, Jean-Claude Juncker, the president of the EU Commission in 2016, he used polycrisis to deal with refugee situations. In 2023, Adam Toole referenced it for the financial sector. And then here in 2024, as you've mentioned, I see it as a step towards really understanding how people feel, how businesses are dealing with this, and how governments are impacted by looking at digital polycrisis. And as you explained, it's about all of those interconnected things that are happening that are overwhelming at every stage. So humanization, to me, is key in addressing the next steps and, again, approaching the future in the age of AI.
You did mention COVID, and all of us here got affected by it, with it in one way or another. And when you look at the realm of AI, you've said we must have the person, or we must have the citizen, and I use the term citizen because we've got government in the room, citizen at the center. There's a use case that was present where information are collected from, you go for testing, this information was fed to systems, and there was an engine that could predict movement patterns or where next people would get affected by the spread of COVID. With the citizen at the center, and government making a bold claim that yes, we do have the data and we must look at how to enable services that would add value to the citizenry. Is there a fine line there? Does the citizenry need to be brought into the conversation about the use of their data in as much as it's being used to digitally transform a scenario that would be beneficial to them?
Absolutely. At the core, we own our data as individuals. An entity may have a very good reason, lawful basis or condition perhaps, of why they need to use our data, why they need to collect it, store it, make decisions, all of that. When those purposes change, then unless there's a very, very, very good reason, and most regulations and laws are very clear of the guidelines in terms of what would be okay to make a decision without including an individual. And of course, it could be contractual, it could be the greater good of the public or humanity. But in those regards, we also want to think about the relationships that we want to have with our clients and people. So even though you don't have to, sometimes again, when we humanize it, we realize that ethically, perhaps we should include them. We should at least tell them. We should at least put it on our website and just put a little banner on the home page that says, we changed our privacy policy. How else would they know?
But knowing, okay, that's great and easy to say, but they often say that if you want to hide anything from someone, where do you put it? you put it in a book or you put it in writing. Terms and conditions. Do we, you probably university educated, master's, PhD doctorates in this room. Terms and conditions, do you read them? What changed in the privacy policy? What changed in the terms of use of our data? So it would be great to, hopefully even over the course of the next 2 days, unpack what that means. And it's great that we have media in the room as well. It's the Nation Digital Summit. And maybe that's an excellent way to look at it. Because when you take this down to the ground and we say, in Swahili, vitu kwa ground, or things on the ground are very different, you've got the rural lady in the market. How do we then, or what are your thoughts around maybe best practice tropicalized for our situation in terms of how you could distill that information down to them and say, your information is going to be used and this is the purpose for which that will happen?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm sorry, but it still comes to the human element. It still comes down to, yeah, I mean, knowing your population, knowing your culture, and there are numerous cultures, of course, in Kenya. So understanding your citizens is everything, and how they receive information, how they process information, it varies. How they can even understand, or what are the steps they take in a normal situation to advocate for themselves. Some people are more vocal and they put things in place, and some aren't. So it has to align with the culture. Taking global best practices, we must, of course, lean on global best practices so we stay relevant, right? But in the same breath, we have to tailor it to our culture, to our people. Again, bringing it back to the human, humanizing everything.
Fantastic. Let's talk about another critical point. One on bias, right? We've seen that there was a point in time that people went online and were searching for pictures of an African family. And it comes back with, almost someone in sackcloth, impoverished. And you're like, this is not my reality. Let's talk about that issue of bias. How do we, first, is bias a bad thing? Quite debatable. And how do we then get to counter bias so that whatever we feed these algorithms or these language models actually output something that we find of value and, more importantly, truthful?
Yeah, so firstly, when we think about I'm sorry, can you repeat you said 2 points there, and I really want to address the first one. Can you repeat?
About biases, talking about biases, yes. So one is that, is building bias into models a bad thing, one, and how would we go about it to make sure that, there is the inclusivity of the language models or the systems that we put out?
So the first part, and that's what thank you for reminding me, was the bias, right? And so, to me, so much of life is on a spectrum. Some will lean way to the left, some may lean way to the right? And in some instances, we need to do that. And so there are times when we want to be very clear about what the output we want from AI, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, as a writer, I might very much want someone that looks just like this. And so with AI, it really brings forward the idea, again, about arts and science, marrying the two. It's great to have an arts degree, it's great to focus on science, but really when you think about AI and prompting, just as an example, you have to be creative, but you also have to be technical. You see what I mean?
Yes.
And so it's about marrying the two. And so there is a place where we do want to be clear about the output we want. When we say we would like to see a modern Kenyan woman right now. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so there are times when we do need to be very, very, very specific. When it comes to those machines being developed, that's why there has to be collaboration. As we've heard here today, I'm sure we'll hear a lot about it over the next 2 days. But really making sure that we are a part of that conversation, that Kenya is a part of the conversation, that different groups within Kenya are part of that conversation. That is so important. Our stories could be lost, important decisions could be made without considering every well, as many risks as we can, as many individuals as we can. And so you can't do that on your own. That's why you will need working groups, and you will need, oversight and consultancy and things of that sort from the public, from the community. Everyone from a lawyer to a farmer, like, they should be part of the conversation because it impacts them as well, and they can give more insight so that the inputs in those systems are relevant to the culture and Kenya as a whole.
Fantastic. Pulse of the room. Finish this word for me. Chat. Excellent. Any local version of LLM that you know or have interacted with? The team at Fastaga cannot raise their hand up. The ease at which that came out of our lips points to my next question about data sovereignty. Technology in this space is moving at a blazing speed. And we find that increasingly we are utilizing tools that have been built, that are hosted, that are researched by other parties, primarily out of the continent. What are your thoughts around that?
I think there are some significant dangers in, again, not being a part of that research, not being a part of that discussion, and relying on external systems. Just a small thing, of course, you mentioned ChatGPT. Of course, they've introduced where you could build your own models, yes. Right? There's a lot of controversy around it,
Is it?
I think we're all awake now.
Check. I think it's good. Yeah.
Right. So. Yeah, there could be significant dangers in adopting sort of boxed solutions, and that's for, again, individuals. Testing, yeah. Okay. So yeah, so there could be serious dangers. Depending even on external systems, as I was saying, wherever possible, if the talent is in Africa and Kenya, we should be looking at how we can create these things, and so it becomes a little bit more authentic and organically developed. The insights, the information, the details, the data, it's so important that it's relevant when you're adopting these systems. It's either working with those vendors, international vendors, to design systems that are specifically aligned with the needs here in Kenya, and the population and culture and all of those factors, or it's a matter of really understanding whether you are comparing what I say, apples with apples or apples with oranges, from a psychology background or research. Of course, is the experiment even valid? Yep. If the data doesn't make sense, or if it's not aligned with the purpose of that particular activity. And so when we are thinking about data sovereignty, it's really important that the country has some level of sovereignty, and that individuals understand what that is, and that they are involved. They understand what their part is, and where they do have opportunities to make decisions to protect their own data.
Fantastic. Now, just building on that again, have you seen any, because it's great to have that put in law, right? That dear vendor that you're working with, big MNC, you can only use our data within our context, and it needs to still remain within our borders. How easy is it to actually effect or make sure that that is being followed?
Well, remember, that's the first steps of vendor selection, perhaps. We must make sure that the entities that we engage with, that we do business with, that they understand what we are looking for in terms of the devices or the tools that we will be using, that they're developing. And so there are some entities that are closed-minded to that. They have their own agenda, and we must be mindful of that. What is their end game? Does it align with Kenyans? Does it align with your citizens? Will they exploit information if you don't have any oversight or control of this? And so if they're not even willing to have a conversation, should you be doing business with that one? Maybe not.
Correct.
So it starts at the very beginning. From there, it should be, again, collaborative. The building of it, the developing of it, the purpose of it. It should be a joint effort with the entity here or government here, as well as with the entity that is building those systems. And the conversation around data and all of that needs to be very clearly specified wherever possible, and particularly in those policies in terms of an age.
Fantastic. Let's maybe use one example, even as we wrap up to catch up on time, about where an intersection of things like data privacy and AI meet. And we had explored the issue of the healthcare space, because healthcare is universal for everyone. Everyone can understand that whether it's from the county level, if you have a healthy, if your citizenry is healthy, then only then can they produce. Do we have some examples that we could explore, even hypothetically, about what that intersection of data privacy and AI would be in this sector, for example?
I mean, when we think about ethics on its own, I mean, there's data ethics, there's AI ethics. The core of data protection and the principles around it overlaps very nicely with AI. And so entities, governments that have already really started taking that quite seriously and designing what that means for them. Again, it's not just GDPR. GDPR is great, but of course it aligns with Europe, with the jurisdictions. It was designed for those jurisdictions, right? And so we must be mindful of the best practices and how GDPR could impact our countries, but we need something that is designed specifically for the nation at which we have. With that in mind, we have to be clear how we will be able to, again, have that oversight, how we will be able to bring that information together, and how we will be mindful of the purposes of the information we are collecting. So if you're collecting it for COVID reasons, you should not now be using it for legal reasons.
I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That now it's totally out of context. It's totally away from the purpose. Leaning on GDPR, purpose limitation. Leaning on international data protection principles. You've got concepts of that sort. And so minimization, the information that you collect, that it should be purposeful, that it should be, that if someone gives consent, that they should easily have the opportunity to take that consent back and say, I don't want you to do it the same way. And so when we're talking about health specifically, there are times when consent would not be the right direction or pathway to take. Maybe it's for the greater good, right?
Yes.
And so a great example of that is the Henrietta Lacks, Oprah Winfrey did a movie about this, the stem cells. And how stem cells from this, I think she was a slave, it was used for the greater good of humanity. They took it in science, they shared it among scientists, they used it all over Europe, and then her family spoke up and said, listen, this isn't right, like surely we should get something from this, right? I'm simplifying it, of course. But unfortunately, they lost the case. And the reason why is because her stem cells have helped us even, all over the world, they've learned from this woman's stem cells. And so it's beyond now just about her. It's now about the greater good of humanity. And so there are times when, unfortunately, it's beyond just our own personal preference.
Yes.
It is for the greater good, and that has to be clearly articulated. It should be clear to the individual. There should not be a bunch of gaps in terms of how that information will be used and who it will be shared with, particularly outside of Kenya.
Fantastic, and that's about as much time as we have. Help me appreciate CJ, please. We will be sharing a panel where she'll be sitting on, and that panel will also be looking at now AI in government and governance, and we'll be able to unpack some of this additional conversations that we've been unable to cover in this short period of time for the Fireside Chat. So CJ, asante sana. We'll see you on the next panel. Dan, over to you.
Check. All right. Thank you, CJ, and thank you, Mbugo. We apologize for that. Mbugo has mentioned something that is pretty much leading into the next part of the program, which is about governments and using technology and the likes. And without much ado, I'd like to invite Irungu Kangata, who's the governor of the county of Murang'a, to come and give his remarks and presentation in regards to the same. Karibu.
Thank you so much, the Nation Media and the participant for this summit. First is to thank the organizers of this conference, and the County of Murang'a is very glad to participate. Secondly, is to say that technology is the way forward, that in this fourth industrial revolution, county governments have no choice but to take advantage of the advance in technology. We are aware of the fact that we must create efficient systems. We must make sure the county government are objective, and also automation ensures there is no corruption. It reduces incidents of corruption. And also the interaction between the mwananchi and governments become a little bit easier. Also, change is something you cannot stop. Long time ago, people used to travel using bicycles, but then vehicles were made through technology. Then thereafter, we now have people who travel by planes, and that is an example of how technology is something you cannot stop. So it's upon us who are in county government to take advantage of the advance in technology. We harness it. So in Murang'a, for instance, we have various flagship programs, and we have endeavored to automate those flagship programs. Allow me to mention some of those flagship programs. Number one, in healthcare, we have something that is called Kangata Care, which is basically a partnership between Murang'a County and the NHIF, where poor people access free medical services without paying. We give them a certain card, which is paid for by the county. So we have to automate that so that we are able to track whether there is corruption or not, or also whether our patients are benefiting or not. We have something called Murang'a Youth Service, which is basically a program where young people who have no jobs, we give them short work study programs. They earn something, they clean our towns, then thereafter we take them to village polytechnics, they get skills, then thereafter we give them seed capital for free. Again, that program had to be automated so that we know whether they are attending the classes, whether they are actually cleaning our towns, and therefore automation has been very helpful in that program. Also, we have something called community projects, which is essentially a program intended to ensure the county developed in a manner that is equitable, and therefore each ward gets a certain amount of money for development, and through that program we have renovated ECDs. So you automate that program, for instance, so that you are able to track whether that development is happening or not. You supervise the execution of the building of those classes. Same way with our school feeding program, where we give 42,000 ECD learners every day free porridge. Again, we automated that system so that we know whether did our ECD pupils, the 42,000 of them, in a certain date, in a certain school, take that porridge. How many attended class? It also helps us to monitor the attendance of our ECD class, or of our ECD teachers. We have also the minimum guaranteed return for milk and mango. Again, we had to automate that to be able to know whether our farmers are delivering milk on a day-to-day basis, so that they now qualify to get the county government support, and also to check productivity of each farmer. We have other programs like what we call the Smart City program, which is improving infrastructure of our towns. But the most important program from where we sit that is going to ensure is not about the next 5 years. It's not about the re-election of our county government. It is ensuring the county government build blocks for posterity for 10, 20 years, or even 100 years when we shall all be dead, is automation. That program has been very important because, one, it has helped Murang'a County government revenue to increase almost to double after we started to automate the revenue. Also in healthcare, we partnered with the Ministry of Health to automate patient journey. And therefore, in our 8 level 4 hospitals in Murang'a, when you go there, you don't carry a physical card. You just produce your ID, you are served. The entire patient journey is paperless. By a click of a button, you are able to know how many patients are let's say, in level 4 hospital in Murang'a. What diseases took them there? And is there medicine or not? And we are now rolling out that program in the entire 157 health facilities. That is dispensaries and also health centers. The other day, the government passed something called Facilities Improvement Fund, which is basically means hospital money will no longer go to the county treasury. It will be spent at source. But then the question arose, how do you then check and see whether the medical superintendent and the people at each facilities are doing a good job? So again, we had to automate that process, and we are happy within 1 month we are able to come up with a software where we are now able to know how each hospital is procuring, let's say, medicine, non-farm, lab reagents. We are able also now to give opportunities to tenderers not to physically bring documents to the county headquarters and lobby for work, but they only need to log in into a system and bid for various services. And again, that has hastened delivery of things in our hospitals, as opposed to where that was something that was centrally placed. Also, we have something called Maternal Support Program, although currently we have stopped it, but it is one of our key programs, which is we give certain cash incentives to mothers to come to and deliver children in public facilities, as opposed to delivering children at home. And therefore, we automated that process. It has helped us to know other problems that exist in our county, including teenage pregnancies. So at a click of a button, you can be able to know whether constituency X or even facility X, how many teenage mothers have gone there, and therefore we take remedial actions through technology. Of course, there are problems and challenges. Number one is downtime. Our system are hosted in Nairobi at the Ministry of Health. Once in a blue moon, we experience downtime, and you know, particularly in healthcare, that's a life and death issue. Yeah, there have been instances where a surgery is happening, then the system collapses. Yeah, when that thing is happening. So we are in collaboration with the Ministry of Health in Nairobi. We ensure that we host our services in clouds, or we get a better entity that can ensure that service is not interrupted, particularly the one on health. Secondly, there's also the problem of manpower. To develop those systems, you need very good software engineers. We are very glad with the team that is working for us. Most likely they would be employing their minds in the private sectors. That's where they have the money to pay software engineers. But what I've also realized is these young people who are coming out of our university, they are very versatile. Yeah, I think as governments, we really need to create employment for them, because if you don't give them an opportunity, they'll be the one hacking bank accounts in the forest. Yeah, So the other challenge is the costs, particularly in terms of procuring the gadgets. Yeah, you have to buy, number one, the network. You pay Safaricom quite a sum. Secondly, you have to buy the computers. You have to keep on maintaining those computers. And that has been, it requires us to do a lot of investments. Finally, something called change management. You have to convince the members of public, particularly the people of Murang'a, that please let us automate. And here you are talking of the old shoshos who goes to the hospital seeking services. They are now being told, please don't come with your card, just come up with your ID. Yeah, you are telling those shoshos who go to the market to pay, don't pay in cash, now you have to pay with M-Pesa. Some of them really don't even have a phone. So that has been an issue. Also, our staff, for the longest of period, they have been using manual documents to convince them that now this is the way. You no longer have to do prescription in a medical card manually. You have not to use a system. Again, it requires a lot of conversations. And finally, there are people who are benefiting with the old status quo. So again, you really need a lot of political goodwill and political efforts to stamp your authority and to push. And finally, is also the idea of ensuring cybersecurity. Because at times we fear if there is a major attack on our systems, I think Murang'a will now definitely ground to a halt. Maybe for 2 minutes, maybe Bwana Meshak, you can come and just illustrate some of this together with the IT advisors. Come, we just show you one or two, the one for the health, because that has been very important. I know it will create so these are some of the people we work with in the county to develop some of these systems. We just show you for the one for the hospital. Yes, now, I don't know whether it can. Yeah, we start with the one for the revenue. Yeah, now this one is for the revenue. You can see as we stay here, we have 94 vehicles that are parked in Murang'a. They have given us 8,200. So far, the markets, the various hospitals. On the left, is a dashboard showing the various revenue sources, the parking, the market, the hospital, the quarry. Click in the next one. Again, this one is for a single business permit or liquor licenses. You can see how many people have applied so far, how many have been approved, single business permit, how much money we have collected. These are the sub-counties, that is municipality, Gatanga, all the way down there. You can see the kind of money we have gotten so far. We have another one called AFIA. This now is for the hospital. This one now is the one that enables us now to see what is happening in each facility. So far, we have 157. So you'll come here and click the patient register. You'll then choose a facility where you want to check. You can input your ID, and then you tell us the password. Then we look at a hospital. Yes. This is now the password we are inputting. Then now the hospital. Now you can post there. You can see we have Murang'a Referral Hospital. Muriranjas, can you scroll down? Kandara, Kangema Sub-County, Kenneth Matiba, Kegumo, all the way to the facilities that we have. So we come to Murang'a, for instance. We want to know how many people are in Murang'a currently and what diseases has taken them there. So as we speak, we have 513 patients in Murang'a. On this other one, we have collected 58,000 Kenya shilling. Can you go there at M-Pesa and you check the various payment platforms? So for cash is 58,000. You can see how many have been waived The county, those who have paid through NHIF, the Kangata Care, how many for instance? So far we have gotten 10,000 using that county-funded NHIF program. Now, what about availability of medicine? You look at the prescription fulfillment. The red one there, the red. So far, 7 people went to the pharmacy. They did not get any drug. Yeah. The other one means unfulfilled. Again, they didn't get 14. The ones who got drugs are partial fulfillment is 24. They got some, they didn't get some. So the rest, they are still unattended. So it helps. This system can even help in queue management. We can even know how many people are in a queue and how long it takes to be in a queue. Go next. And another dashboard. This one is for. Now, this is the latest one that you have come up with for the hospitals. After we brought in what is called Facilities Improvement Fund, that is, hospitals can now expend money at source. So as we speak, 390 people tenders have been floated, and 26 are pending to be approved by various people. That is the chief officer, the medical soup. 21 tenders are running. 48 have been rejected for one reason or another, and 41 tenders have been awarded, meaning those people should supply. So that way we can be able to monitor what's happening in our various hospitals. Go to the next one, is the fleet management. That one is for? Yes? Yes, now this is for maternal. If you get pregnant in Murang'a, we give you a small cash incentive to come to public hospitals. Yeah, we do not want home deliveries. So far, yes, we have stopped that program for now because we are doing some auditing on this program. But 10,000 mothers were registered to this system. 9,000 saw the doctors. 8,200 were paid. Now, per each sub-county, let's say like Kangema, we have 14 underage mothers. Madhya, we have 41. Keharu, we have 30. That way. I go to fleet management. This one is where we can track the movement of all county motor vehicles at any given time. And if we see you as a driver, you have entered into a bar, we can stop your vehicle at a click of a button. So on the left are all county motor vehicles. This is now the map where they are. You can see the ambulance is there at a place called, I don't know where, that way. And it also helps us monitor drivers' behavior. On a weekly basis, we give them a report. We tell you whether you are overspeeding or you are not speeding. And that way, it incentivizes them to... yes? Oh, you can see here, in Naivasha. So if for any reason I'm out of the route that is indicated in the worksheet, we can just switch it off using this system. That way. And this other one is for, yes, this is now our internal system. People used to queue at the finance office seeking various money. Hey, I want to travel, pay me this. So we tell them, no. We are creating a system. When you want to request money, you just go into the system, we'll pay you. So we have made so many, let me reach there, but we see an opportunity in artificial intelligence where now all these systems will be in one system embedded, and therefore human interaction with the system will be low, and now machines will now be powering this system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Governor Irungu Kangata, on that presentation regarding the use of technology in running government affairs, and especially on attending to the needs of Wananchi. So at this point of the program, we close our broadcast on NTV. We shall be having our conversations ongoing here at the Digital Summit, the Nation Digital Summit. This is in the county of Nakuru, specifically in Naivasha. So for now, for those who are following us on NTV, thank you for joining us. We have a lot more content coming for you in the course of this broadcast and course of the day. My name is Dan Mwangi. Have yourselves a great mid-morning into afternoon.
Step up to more fun and get more than you pay for. Upgrade now and get boosted to the next package for free. Dial *4.